Hey, what's going on, guys? So today I will start a series of video of just me working on FreeCAD, basically. So the idea is that, well, through my work, maybe I will teach you some things about the architecture of FreeCAD and help you get started if you want to contribute to FreeCAD, right? So currently I'm working on the assembly workbench of FreeCAD, the new integrated assembly workbench, and so I'm just going through the issues that are reported. So you see this one, for example. Click the 3D view while editing joint is this one is done. So let's move to one that is not done. Okay, so this issue, so it's opened by me, so so I know exactly what this is about. So let's see. First, let me check that it's recording correctly. So that's fine. And so yeah, let me tell you about this issue. So you see when you have like an assembly, let me choose an assembly, the files, yeah, they're all like my files are all over the place because I changed the resolution of my screen so that I could record with OBS. This one. This is the one I wanted. It's just a small file. Nothing very special about it. So it's an assembly, right? So let's toggle the assembly active. All right. So the issue that is being reported is that basically if you use the core transform tool, then it will unset the edit of the assembly. So let's say you are adding an object like this one. Well, this one is not a good example. Let's say this one, okay? And then, oh wait, it's upside down. So what people are doing is that right click and then transform, so they cannot do that, so they will double click, they still cannot do it. And so what I've seen is that people will just go in the tree, click on transform, right? And well, that's bad for many reasons. First, here you already have a task opened, so if I start a new task, it's going to make things weird, right? So, but let's say we say okay first, and now that it's okay, you still want to turn this part upside down, right? So you go to transform, then you rotate it to be upside down with this awesome tool, click OK, and then that doesn't move anymore, and this doesn't move either. And so what's happening is that the assembly is not active anymore, because basically when you double click the assembly, you're setting the assembly to be active, to be in edit mode. And so in FreeCAD you can only have one object which is in edit mode, and when the object is in edit mode, then the view provider of that object has like the focus. Basically the function of this view provider are going to be called. So this is why you can move things around, right? When the assembly is active, it's because in the view provider of the assembly, I'm handling like when you click on the part and you move the mouse basically, and that moves the object. So yeah, so anyway, so that's not good that the user, if he wants to transform something, is using this tool, right? So what I've been doing lately is that I've been implementing this exploded view tool. And so this tool, you see, the idea is that it lets you create exploded views. So you select one part and you see you have the transform dragger that appears here, and then you can move the part. Yeah, you can move the part and move it again and so on. And so basically what I want to do here in assembly is to have this transform dragger, which just like the dragger without the task box, just the dragger, and handle the dragger in the view provider of assembly. And so this way, even if you're not in this tool, let's say you double click on this, and here I want to have the dragger that appears and lets you rotate the part, right? So that's the goal. to fix the issue. So let's go, right? So first, actually, I was actually building. Let me change the layout a little bit, because so I was just building, and it build, and I've done a change in something else that I was testing, and so I just need to test that, right? So that's not it. So the thing is that if you select this and click here, it should not clear selection. So that's still working, right? So that's good. So that's good. So yeah, no clearing. Okay, so I just wanted to try that. So now, so the goal is double click on an object that is in the assembly, and bam, you have the dragger that appears in the center of gravity of this object. So to achieve that, we are going to have to modify the view provider of assembly, right? So currently, if you click something and you move it, it will move the object, but you see it's only a translation, right? It's only a translation, and it's only on the focal plane, right? So you cannot move it up like this. You can only move it in the focal plane, which is handy, but like to just move things around, it's handy, right? But you cannot rotate things and so on. So yeah, double click, dragger appears, and then you can have like a very precise control of the placement. So let's go. Let's go. So view provider assembly, I already have the file open, but let me show you a little bit the structure of the source code of FreeCAD. So this is the root folder of FreeCAD's code. So basically everything is in here. And then FreeCAD has like modules, right? So you have the core and you have modules. So the core is kind of like a module, right? And so every module, and the core included, they have like an app and UI folders. And basically the software is separated in these like category app and app and UI. And so everything that makes the software that enables the software to run even without a GUI, it will go in apps. So for example, definition of geometries and so on. And everything that requires the GUI will go in GUI. And so if you go in mod, you have one mod for each workbench, so one mod for assembly, one mod for part design, one folder for sketcher, and so on. So here we go to assembly, and so in assembly, same, you see app and UI basically. And also in the root, you have a few Python scripts. The Python scripts in assembly, at least, they are in the root folder of the workbench, and then the C++ files, they are here. So basically, in assembly you have like the assembly object, right? And let me check if it's still recording, because yeah, if I just talk for 2 hours and it's not recording, that will be sad. So yeah, assembly object here. And so this is the app part of the assembly object. So basically it handles like the solving, and I don't know what is it doing. Yeah, basically the solving and everything that doesn't need the GUI really. And so this assembly object, it has like this app object, and it also has like a view provider that is associated with this object. So it's in UI view provider as assembly, right? And so this file is the one that we have here, right? So when you double click an assembly, as I told you, it will set it as edit and set edit, and that will do a bit of stuff, right? And it will set the dragger, which is interesting for us. So basically the dragger I showed you before, the one in this explosion tool, this dragger, it's actually an object that I put inside the view provider assembly, and when a tool needs the object, it can request it from the view provider and connect things to it, things like that. So yeah, so when you set in edit, you set up the dragger, but it's hidden, and set the edit, right? Yeah, so not very interesting for our purpose here. Can drag object, okay. Mouse move. So you see, well, as I told you, if you click, this is mouse button pressed. So this function is called when you press on your mouse button. So if you left click something, then you have can start dragging. That becomes true, right? And then if you move the mouse, it initializes the movement. So first it gets selected object within the assembly, right? So that's that, and then it does init move. Okay, and this init move, and then you see every time mouse move, once it's enabled, like initialized, so if part is moving, then it does what it needs to update the position of the selected object. So that's how it moves like this, okay? So now we want to define a different behavior, right? We want like double click. So when we double click, you see when you click once, it selects the face. If you click twice, it selects the solid. It selects the solid. And so what I want to do is that when you select the solid, when the solid is selected, then the dragger appears. And if you clear the selection, so if you clear the selection, for example, you click here, it clears the selection, then I want the dragger to disappear, hidden. So there will be this dragger move mode that will be enabled when an object is selected. So if the selection is a wall solid, and when we clear selection, or if we remove the selection, for example, by how can we remove the selection? Oh, there we go. If you click here, it also clears selection. Well, anyway, anytime selection changes, if it's not to add a single object, a single solid, then we just cancel this special movement mode where we have the dragger. So let's see how we can do that. So to do it, I guess we are going to be using the selection. Let's see, get object find drag mode. So that's not there. On selection change it. Okay, so this function is because our view provider is a selection observer. Yes, because yeah, you see, our view provider inherit from selection observer, and this way we know when something is in the selection is changing. So right now, if you do something like adding something to the selection, clearing selection or removing selection, whatever, it changes that to can start dragging equal false, which just basically cancel the ability of initializing the movement, right? So for example, if you click and you release the button, yeah, because if you click once, then you don't add to the selection, and you don't remove to the selection. So if this is selected and you click and drag, you see I'm not removing actually, I'm just moving, and then I'm preventing, yeah, actually. So but if you click and release, then you don't want the movement to start when you move the mouse like this, right? Yeah, it's not moving because I released the mouse, because I was just selecting that. So that's why it's doing that here. So anyway, so it's not very important. So what we want to do is that when we add selection, actually, we do something special, right? We start a special mode. So let's do something like that. We're going to remove that. So just when add selection, and so how are we going to add selection And then what exactly? Then we have to know, so if selected object is a single solid, start show dragger and init dragger move. Let's call it the dragger move, right? That's going to be nice. So if selected object is a single solid, so that's right. Okay, now we had that, and now the question is what's the syntax to do that, right? So that's the trickier part. So I've done something similar in Python already. Let me think. So I've done something similar in Python recently, and it's in but it's in Python, so it's going to be a pain to translate that to C++, and it's in create view, right? Yeah, in create view, because in create view I'm also like using a selection observer, and when you add stuff to the selection, then I'm doing something special, right? Because it's Christmas, and Christmas is special. And in join object as well, we have like a selection observer. So in Python, you see you have different function, one for each type of selection change, which is not true in C++ apparently. And so what is going to be a bit annoying is that I have some functions in C++ in Python, and I don't have them in C++. So you see, yeah, that's going to be annoying, because these functions here, like, they are actually getting the actual object that is selected, because when you're doing something like this had selection, then you have like the doc name, which is the string of the name of the document, and then you have these two things, right? You have object name and subname, and this is where it starts to be confusing, because the object name is actually the root object. So in my case, for example, for this object, right, this object link022, when I added, here you can see it, right? You can see it. So this is the document name, this is the object name, and actually it's the name of the assembly because it's the root, and then you have the name of the, so this is the subname basically, right? This is the subname. And so, but when I click here and double click here, what I want to know is what is the solid that is being selected, the object that is being selected here, and I don't care about the assembly, right? So that's a bit tricky. So in Python I have some methods that are handling that, and in C++ I don't. So it's going to be annoying, right? So we have to know if, so you see this is the element name. The element name is basically really like the element of the solid that is selected. So the edge, the face, for example, face 1. But when you have the whole object that is selected, then the last, you see the last thing here, how the last, let's say, you see you have like a series of string that are separated by points. And so the last one is the element name. You see there is no point after. And here there is a point and empty space after the point. So that means it's the whole solid that is selected, and this is the solid. So yeah, long story short, it's going to be it's going to be fun, right? Because because we want to we are going to manipulate that. So so to proceed, what we can do is start by having a look at searching that string, right, in the source of FreeCAD, and we are looking for an example. An example an example, and that's going to be I don't know. Where are we going to look for that? Task boolean parameter. Well, maybe this one. And here we are going to see how exactly it is. PC body equals get object body string p object name. So you see, yeah, if I start doing that, it's not going to work because, well, wait, what is p object name here? Oh yes, message.p object name. But this p object name is going to not be what we want, right? It's going to be assembly, and so that's going to be bad. What we want is the subname, and we are going to have to analyze the subname. That's so annoying. Let me think about that. Oh wait, we have that get selected object within assembly. So what is this function doing? I'm using it in the normal, in the, you know, the move dragging, the part dragging function stuff. And oh wait, let me see if my audio is actually working. Well, I hope you can hear me, right? If you can't, then you won't be watching this video anyway. So this function, it should be basically doing more or less what we want. So if so it's getting the assembly object, and then it's browsing the selection. So for auto set object blah blah, for object subname equal selection get subnames so for subname string subname equal parse subnames, well, okay, get object from subnames. So that's a function that I've made. So actually I have already made a good part of what we need, right? Because this is get object from subname. It's basically the tool that we want. So what we need to do now, so we need something similar to this, but not exactly the same thing, because because this function, when you click on an element like a face, it's going to find the object and add it, but we don't want that because we want it only when the whole object is selected. So I want only if the element name is null. So what we want is to have something like this selected object within assembly, but a different one. So let's make a custom one for now, and then we'll see if we can kind of share as preselection. Okay, right. Doc to move dot empty. So so actually what we can reuse that. Yeah, yes, we can reuse that, I guess. Base placement. So this is storing the document object and the base placement. So let's see, I think we can reuse that. I would say it's just that we don't want the preselection, and we want like to know if it has a single object and if this solid is yeah, so that's tricky. So where is this function actually used? It's used here and only here, yes. So we want to add get selected object within assembly. So let us think. So we want to limit that to a single object first, and then and then we don't want to use the preselection part of this, because basically we only want duck to move. We only want one, right? So we are going to do it, and so what to do? Because I can add like a bunch of parameter to the function to prevent the addition of the preselection, and that we have like to deactivate preselection. So that's one boolean, and then we want to add only if it's the solid itself, right? So that's 2, and third we want only 1. So we have 3 specific things that we want. So let's see what we can do. Let's go here, get selected object. So we are going to add a boolean here, bool, add preselection equals true, no truth, and then we have bool only solid. Let's call that only solids equals false. No majuscules, no capitals, I mean, sorry. Alright, so let's do it like this, right? And then not here, here. So not this, because in CPP file you don't need that. And then add preselection, if add preselection and, so this way we can filter out that, and the value is true by default, and only solids. And so only solids, oh wait, so we are going to need to know if this function, if it is actually parsing the last, if it's something like part dot object dot face, is it parsing face if it's empty? So if it's the full solid like this, is it parsing the empty string? So we don't know. Let's have a look at parse subname. Well, I should know, I'm the one who wrote that, but get line, yeah, I don't know. So what to do? We are going to print that out. So let's add warning, subname is, and then we put the subname, right? So that's basic, that's beautiful. Subname, yes, there's a typo, but I don't care. Okay, so we are going to print the subnames and then see what happens if we have an empty one or not. Parse subnames. But wait, I've been doing some stuff. Is it going to build? Yes, it should build. Let's try to build like this, and we're going to see what happens. So while it's building, I will stop the video because I don't know how long I can import on YouTube, but I would guess it's maybe 30 minutes, and if it's 30 minutes, then I better cut the video now, and I'll take you back when it's done building.